Hey everyone, this is Cody Bonham with Block and Knife Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to put the finishing details on this wood carved owl sitting on a stump. If you haven't seen it already, I did a part 1 video of how to do the rough out of this owl, so if you haven't seen that one yet, I recommend going back and watching it first before this video. The first step after doing the rough out of the owl is going in and just cleaning up all the rough bits left behind by the rough out stage and just setting in those edges and lines. You want to pay attention to the direction you're cutting when you're going around the horns of the owl. Just going with the way the wood grain flows in the piece. If you go the wrong direction, you can end up lopping off the entire horn. When shaping the face of the owl, you'll notice that I'm shaving back the part where the eyes are going to set in, but leave the center of the face protruding out most, because that's where your beak is going to go, and that's going to be the piece that's closest to you or the observer of the sculpture. Before we get too far in cleaning up the body, I'm just going to redraw these lines for where the back feathers are going to separate from the body. And we're going to go ahead and put in those lines using a V tool, and then we'll deepen it out with the knife. Next, we're going to come in and start cleaning up the lines and edges where the owl meets the stump. The tail feathers here are actually going to protrude out the most, so you want to make a nice deep cut underneath there. And then where the body meets the stump, it's going to be a little bit more shallow.
Smiling to another tasteless day. The lucky gets to choose his shade.
Now, opposite of the tail feathers, we're going to have the feet sticking up and over the log. You're going to do the same kind of thing here, just clean up your edges. You want the body to go in a little bit more deeper towards the feet, and that's just going to give the illusion of the owl's kind of round body and the feet sticking up and over the log. Now that we got all the cleanup out of the way, now comes the fun part where we get to start putting in the details. So I'm going to start on the face here, setting in where the beak is going to go. That's going to go right about the center of the face. And then coming up from the beak on either side, I draw a line that extends out to the point of the horn. And that's going to kind of give you an idea of where the eyes are going to get set in later on.
Just kidding, suddenly away. No wonder soul is colder down the south. But I willing to come rescue her from hell. And even if your words make her bleed.
Now, anytime I'm working on really fine details of a figure, I like to go in with the V-tool first, and this just helps set in those lines and gives a place for my detail knife to follow when I make my final cuts. So I'm going to carefully trace around that beak again. Now I'm really setting in that line, and then carefully go around the edges of that line, shaving off around it so that the beak is sticking out first and foremost. Next, I'm going to come in and trace those lines again with the V tool that come up towards the point of the horn, and then go back in and make those lines deeper with the knife. And I'm also going to shave back the area where the eyes are going to go just a little bit more. In this part, I'm just going to show you doing one side of the face, and obviously you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side as well. After tracing around the eyes with the V tool, you're going to come in with the U gouge and just kind of hollow out that area around where the eye is going to set in. So last step with the eye, I like to go in with this mini deep U gouge and just pull some lines in towards the center of the eye. Just gives it a little bit more texture and interest to look at. When starting on these wings and tail feathers, the first 2 rows are a lot wider, bigger feathers. I go in with the V tool and then I deepen it with the knife. And then after you complete those 2 rows, the feathers towards the bottom I change to be a little bit longer and skinnier. Once you complete all these feathers, I like to go in with that deep mini U-gouge again and just put in a little bit of texture on each feather. As you can tell, I'm kind of starting from the outside, swooping inward, and that just kind of gives each feather a little bit of roundness. Now starting on the body of the owl, I like to go in with that deep mini U-gouge and set in those diamonds that we drew on the body. These lines you want to set in deep, and then the texture that's going to go afterward is a little bit lighter. When putting in this texture, I like to go top half first and then go in through the bottom half, and you can tell I'm putting them in a little bit different angles, but the angles of the cuts always go towards the point of the diamond or the triangle. Now starting on the feet, honestly this is the trickiest part of this entire carve, and I'm not the best at it. Some of you probably will do a better job than me, but honestly if you mess up the feet, it's not a huge deal. It's really not the focal point of this carving. More people are interested looking at the face and the body, so don't worry if you mess up with these feet. The first thing I'm going to do is separate the 2 feet by cutting a deep line in between that goes all the way down towards the stump. After you get the 2 feet separated, you're going to put in the lines for where the toes are going to get separated. So I have 3 toes or talons on each of the feet. So I go in with the V tool and then again just deepen those lines with the knife afterward. Once you get the talons separated, you can just try to shape them down to where each one comes to a point down at the bottom there, because that's where your claws are going to come in last. Last step with the feet is you're just going to make a little separation line of where the foot meets the claw there, and the claw is going to come out a little bit shallower than the toes themselves. Forgot one more piece of texture I like to put in the head. Using the deep U gouge is just put some lines coming from the center of the forehead out towards each horn. And I also add a little bit of more texture with the same tool, swooping out from underneath the eyes. And our very last step of this project is adding the texture of the stump. So I go in with the V tool just randomly around the bottom and then up towards the top. And then each of these V marks I set them in even deeper with the knife. Now I go in and stain this piece afterwards. The deeper these cuts, the better, because it really brings out the texture in the log. The stain sets in those cuts, and it really does look realistic when you get finished with it. Thank you all for watching this owl tutorial. I plan on making a part 3 where I show you how I paint it. Again, if anyone's interested in purchasing a rough out of this owl that I did in the video number 1, just let me know in the comments and I can post one for sale for you.